fine and dandy day. And who might you be?
Oh my God.
Is that you?
With a happy hello to you, too.
How's it done?
Don't spoil my surprise.
Who are you?
Don't make me laugh, because it sounds like
Pull to open.
pull to open.
Yes, and what do you do?
I'm beaming at ya.
What gods are these? We think we are so clever, but we're like children. We are children.
This is impossible.
This is the fun bit, honey.
Hello, and welcome to Pull to Open, the only Doctor Who podcast that is recapping the current season in chronological order. Oh, no, wait. Well, maybe not the only, but we're doing it. I'm Pete.
And I'm Chris, and we are not at all the random podcast, Pull to Open. We are the hot take podcast, Pull to Open. And today we are... Wait, Pete, I've just realized.
What's that, Chris?
We don't have surnames. We're not the kind of characters who have surnames. I think maybe we're not real.
Oh, no, that would be not fun. And honestly, I think we're also a little bit annoying, come to think of it.
Some people do say that. But anyway, yes, we are here to not to recap, but to praise or bury episode 2 of Shooty's season 2, Disney season 2, Looks, which is how we're going to call it, because I don't make the rules. The laws of the land here at Pull to Open say that anything that sounds vaguely like Flux, the season-long story that we did those many podcasts ago, maybe about a year ago, go check it out. Anyway, we're going to call it that way. We can't do anything other. So Lux it is. We must put $1 in the Lux swear jar if we don't get it correct, as we did last time.
Well, appropriately, I'm determined to bathe this episode in light.
Hey!
Which is why I have my most lighty up Sonic going today.
Yes, and
it's
we
the 13,
are, of course,
just for a couple doctors out, but what are you going to do?
We are, of course, dressed in cosplay as Doctor Who nerds, something we would never actually be, but we're here to talk about looks, and we're here to talk about these bits of fourth wall all over the place. I mean, it's just smashed to pieces around here. There's dust everywhere. How's the fourth wall at your place, Pete?
You know, I think it is fragmented into the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. There's like a lot of higher dimensions in the walls now. I can't even keep track. It's
wall string theory. It's walls all the way down, young man.
Yeah.
But anyway, so looks.
You hit me the first time. I'm going to go to you, sir.
Okay.
Right off the bat, give me your super quick, not even elevator pitch. We're talking about, space-time vortex pitch, like really quick. What is your first impression?
I'm going to give it to you in the form of a recommendation for the Pull to Open Futures Index, because of course this is our hot take. We will one day do a cold take on looks. We will one day give it one of our ratings. And I've got to say, invest wisely in the future. Invest in a Viscount banger on this one, folks.
Nice. Wow. Look at you.
Yeah.
So you
confidently predicting that. I mean, the value of your stock may go up as well as down. We know that. But, confidently predicting.
I thought it was pretty awesome. Yeah, I really liked it. We can even start with the scene that we're reenacting right now.
Yes. And of course, the post-credit scene. By the way, if you hit stop right at the end and you went to listen to this podcast, no, go back, because there's a bit more with the fans when they realize that they're real again. So which creates a problem, which I must discuss as a Doctor Who fan. If they're real, what does that mean? Are they alive in the film frame? Anyway, no, stop, no, I'm getting sucked into the black hole of exactly what they were doing. I love that bit. And I've got to say that they nailed me to the wall as a Doctor Who fan when they opened that with, I forget the name of her character, the female character sitting there with the fez. She's only
right. I feel like it's Liz. I don't know. Lizzie, yeah, yes, sounds right. Yes.
And she says not, oh my God, what the hell is happening? She says, oh God, if it happened, it actually happened. Right? It
Right.
finally happened. They've got me bang to rights. I mentioned on Pull to Open before, the very first short story I ever wrote as a kid was Doctor Who stepping out of the television. Doctor Who, as I called him then,
Right.
stepping out of the television, inviting me into episode 2 of Destiny of the Daleks, very specifically. And so...
Nice.
So that sense of it finally happened, like I feel like many a Doctor Who fan has had that exact fantasy. I'm sure RTD has had it himself. He has his bang to rights. He knows us because he's one of us, right? And that was clearly a scene written with love for the fans, like a bit of poking fun, but love for the fans because they're smarter than the Doctor.
Yeah, I love the bit where she's like, "Oh, it leaked online. I knew this was going to happen." That was awesome. That's hashtag. What does it say? The hashtag
RIP Doctor Who. Yes, which that's going to start trending after Lux, and RTD has only himself to blame for the fact that's going to start trending. But
right, but it's going to start trending ironically, or sort of semi-ironically. I can't even tell. It's a level of irony we've never achieved before.
I mean,
it's like meta irony.
It's RTD has gone insanely off the charts meta with this one to the point where I dare any other show to be more meta than Lux was. Right? Can you think of anything? Has anything come close to that?
No, and I also think it's kind of there's another layer to the genius of it because it's as if he's been setting it up since the past 2 seasons, since he sort of the Shurigawa fourth wall breaking in the first couple of episodes, right? So when you get to the scene, you're actually kind of trying to work out if it's part of that and everything with Mrs. Flood, and you're sort of putting these pieces together, and then they sort of quickly sort of shatter that illusion, right? Then they're like, no, wait, this is actually just part of Mr. Ringading's trap.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, but then again, at the end, right at the very end, you get Mrs. Flood, and then you even get the post-credit scene. So who knows? Maybe it still is part of that and the ethos of all this weird meta stuff. Obviously thinking more specifically of the Devil's Cord when they had that sort of crazy scene at the end that just was sort of a bit of fun, but still in the show, which was weird.
And began with a shooty wink to the audience. I love it. I love the way that Doctor Who has often followed the culture or been in the vanguard of the culture. And as the culture gets more and more meta, as the storylines of science fiction get more and more sophisticated, audiences get more and more sophisticated, you really have to keep up. And this is. I mean, it was sitting there waiting for it. You got to wonder why it took 61 years to do this idea, right? Of the Doctor actually coming out of the television, because that's a kind of a thing you could do. You could have done a lot of this in the 80s, right? I mean, you could do the Mr. Ring-a-Ding stuff, which is very Roger Rabbit, granted on a bigger budget than Doctor Who had then, but the technology was available, right? So there's nothing at least stopping that meta part having been on screen.
Yeah, I feel like because I don't think it would have worked in the same way, simply because we don't have fandoms in the way we have today. You don't even have that sort of relationship with entertainment like we have today, even sort of putting aside the sort of baggage of fandoms and toxic fandoms and that sort of stuff. I do think the coming out of the television thing is, to your point, an obvious idea. I mean, it sounds like you wrote it well before even. Oh, I was just thinking of AHA, the video Take on Me, right? So you should maybe sue those guys and get your idea, but.
You heard it first here.
As this was sort of happening in the show, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about there's an episode of Angel where he becomes a puppet, which is not quite the same idea, but it's sort of similar. And there's kind of all these kind of ideas of mixing these artificial sort of fictional worlds with the real world, and even though it makes sort of zero sense, it's definitely more of a fantasy idea than a sci-fi idea. Doctor Who has given itself license to do that. Like even absent the sort of stuff that RTD was doing with like, oh, we're going to do more fantasy. It's just there's enough demand almost for this kind of idea. We just kind of want to see it.
And doing it in an episode like this makes absolute sense, right? Because it feels earned. If we're talking about light, if we're talking about film, talking about capturing images, like it's really all about that. It is, Doctor Who's in many ways been a show about television, and it's followed the growth of television, the change of television. No, we've touched on it before with, The Idiot's Lantern. But this is a story about entertainment and television for this age. But let's cast a wider net than just the scene that RTD probably knew would be focused on. Which, by the way, if you want a fig leaf that says that that's not our reality, there is one in the form of they say that the episode is actually called Mr. Ring-a-Ding. That's the episode that they're watching. So not the same as Lux. Clearly not our universe. Anyway, no. What did you think of Mr. Ring-a-Ding himself, Lux himself, Alan Cumming? What's your take on that part of it?
Oh, that was fine. I like this little catchphrase, "Don't make me laugh," and I like that was paid off early.
Yes.
That it didn't become this thing where it was his weakness and there was some climax with him laughing. It was just the giveaway of like, oh, this being a Pantheon thing, which again given all the stuff he's talked about and done with that, gives the episode a bit more license to do crazy things and sort of epic things. So it's not bad. He's really milking that decently. It's only really been a few like 2 episodes since, I guess Joy to the World counts, like 3 episodes since the Sutekh stuff,
right? He's spacing out the gods, which is nice. To me it becomes ever more clear that Mrs. Flood is also in the Pantheon, right? It's got to be, now she's showing up in Miami. She's talking about the end of the world. She knows the date of the end of the world. I wouldn't be surprised if she's the one who initiates a nuclear holocaust, which is another thing that I think we've been leading up to with a lot of stuff with Devil's Cord, with Roger Ap Gwilliam, etc., etc.
And this just being 1952 and sort of having that sort of nuclear shadow in the background for sure.
Opening with a bomb here, yeah, absolutely. And we know that RTD is obsessed with that. He put nuclear bombs in years and years, and so I think that may be a clue as to where we're headed. Anyway, God, I'm talking like a fan again. I got to say, I really, really loved the effect of them walking around Mr. Ring-a-Ding the first time they do that.
Oh yeah, that all worked really well, and so they kept him believably like 2-dimensional and didn't lose the style of him at all, like by turning him a bit 3D without sort of explaining it, because I really like that having the characters become 3D is a plot point,
right?
Which was pretty clever, and so that was really cool. I did like the initial scene where she's in the TARDIS and wants to go home, and then they're sort of in 1952, but then she gets a little like, well, okay, I could do this. I'll admit it's a bit of a cheat, like it's not really a in a deep way different from other companions' first trips, but it is fun to get a different cover of that, right? And then she gets intrigued, and obviously she does the wardrobe thing, and again, speaking of meta, the Doctor almost has a fourth wall breaking line there. It's like, oh, this is the good part. Yeah. Like we're going to have the changing scene where you get dressed in some period stuff and you look pretty awesome.
Yes. The clothes, he says, the clothes.
Yeah. Which again emphasizes how different his Doctor is, because he participates now. He's used to, like, I always think about that scene sometimes in the Eccleston one, The Unquiet Dead, where Rose goes and changes, and she's like, "Aren't you going to change?" No, what are you talking about? My leather jacket jumper. That's my thing.
Yeah, works in any era.
Dresses up, dresses down.
True. No, I like to think that here's my headcanon. The Doctor learned from Tegan. He learned that Tegan was a pain in the ass when she just kept going on about how she wanted to go home and the TARDIS wouldn't deliver her there. And he also learned from Tegan that she was a bit into fashion because, of course, For to Doomsday, who could forget those fabulous outfits?
We certainly never will.
We never will.
Keep bringing it up.
God. I will bring that up every 4 days until Doomsday.
It's hilarious that her artistic abilities are literally never mentioned again.
I know, right?
Not once. It would have been funny in that Pete McTie thing on the season 20 DVD or whatever, that just in the background, you just see a whole bunch of sketches that she's been doing for like 30 years.
Yeah. Alternate career, fashion designer. But I think Tegan would have been a lot more interested in traveling the TARDIS and a lot more on board had she been wearing some fabulous changes of outfit herself. I think so. The Doctor learns from his past regenerations. He learns what you do when you accidentally kidnap a companion. And and I got to say, Belinda Chandra finally became a bit three-dimensional, appropriately enough, right? We learn about her parents. We were complaining about this last week. And, here's my irksome Doctor Who fan moment is to say, RTD, sir, why didn't you put these 2 episodes on at the same time, the way that we had Space Baby and Devil's Cord together? I think these would have made a nice pair. And I think you would have had the followed by the
Right. And, true.
Create a lot more annoying fads to create annoying podcasts where they rate your shows 7 out of 10.
Yeah, and you would have had that rhyming with the first season a little bit. Because similarly, it was like, and then, even though I think some people didn't like Devil's Cord, but generally I thought it was much better than Space Baby.
It's fun in kind of the same way, isn't it? It's music versus picture, right? Sound versus picture, and similar themes being hit on almost exactly the same costume scene, clearly referencing that. And also, I met the Beatles.
Yeah. So I didn't quite get the resolution to this one because there were a couple of things that sort of happen, and I'm not sure if one causes the other. I feel like there might have been some lines I missed, and I'm going to have to watch it again. Or more likely, they just kind of threw it all together and just hoped we would figure it out. Yeah. And so I'm here
for you, but just to make it clear for the audience, I do get these screeners in advance. I've watched this now. I'm now on my third go. So
the Doctor, so Ring in gets a taste of the Doctor's healing energy because he heals his burn, which again, I actually find that annoying. I think there's enough dialogue there to imply that that's not just a special thing he can do anytime. He kind of says, he mentions his bi-generation and that he was sort of saving that up for such a thing. Well, I would ask,
like, an extra pocket of energy is what he said.
Yeah, and it sounded like it's a one and done, which I don't think is necessary at all, other than to sort of show Mr. Ring-a-Ding that he has regeneration energy. And obviously that was the point. But he just has a sort of, doesn't even look like that bad a burn. It's like, okay, that it's bad enough, but you could live with that, and you could, essentially pour some cold water on it and it'll heal somewhat over a little while. He did, like, in other words, like, it's a bit of it. Seriously, like, he's not disabled. He hasn't burned his hand away. Like,
I love that your note on that scene is, just go get some antiseptic, for God's sake.
Also, it's 1952. You would totally be told to do that, even if you were a kid who burned his hand. Don't even bother the doctors. Just pour some cold water on it. And so
it says doctors do make the worst patients. So there you go.
Yeah, the point is, it just seemed a little contrived to sort of have him use the energy. So Ring-a-Ding sees it and then tries to hijack the energy by stringing up the Doctor and maybe some light through him. I get all that. That happens. But then it sort of doesn't happen because he turns back into 2D and starts growing, not because of the regeneration energy, but because of the sun.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. If he could get all this infinite energy just by walking outside or being exposed to the outside, why couldn't he just do that? Or did the regeneration energy, was that the catalyst for him being able to do that? And I would like to think it's the latter, but they don't really say that.
They don't, and it is a bit of a fudge, and but honestly, it worked for me. You do, on a second or a third viewing, you're like, hang on a minute, but it is nice for him to go back to animated as he grows to the size of the galaxy. It would be hard to do that any other way, for him to fade out in that way, which I thought was so beautiful. And again, a sort of like a very Doctor Who getting spiritual in a way it never does. This concept of a god being, intangible. What was it? Infinite, intangible, and everywhere. Omnipresent at least.
I never quite understood though. What's his goal? Does he say it at any point? Because I kind of got the Maestro's goal, and they show it in the future sort of world where music's gone and the world's destroyed itself, and then it's just this sort of single tune. Yeah, I get that. I got that. That actually made sense. It was scary. Yeah. This one I didn't really get. I was like, what do you want to do?
He was the same. It was the same to start a nuclear war.
And then get everyone to...
Well, then he'd absorb all that great light from all those bombs.
Yeah.
Because that's all he knows of the outside, is that there are these awesome bombs.
Right.
The Doctor shows him an even more awesome nuclear explosion that he was not previously aware of.
Got it. Okay. Cool. And then he just becomes so vast that he's kind of like faded out in the cosmos, which suggests that he could come back anytime.
Well, he has become light. He has become all light. He's just diffused as light, and everywhere and nowhere, as he says, as the last line is. I am everything and I am nothing, which is light. Which is it a particle? Is it a wave? Who even knows? It's kind of godlike itself.
Yeah. I don't know. This is why it's not quite a Viscount banger for me, I got to say. Just because it seems like a little bit maybe I'll have to... We'll see. It's a bit of a Deus Ex Machina. It's a bit of a cop-out. It's like, okay, he just sort of conveniently grows and then he's gone. And
and again, Galactica, I think, is...
exactly they should have more explicitly connected the regeneration energy to that sort of ability, that sort of doing that enabling that outcome.
I do like that this brings it around to something I was waiting for, which is that we did ask Mashable asked RTD in our interview with him last season whether we were going to hear anything about Bi-generation again, or was that just gone? And he said, well, it's interesting. I've just written a scene today that mentions Bi-generation.
Now you know the scene.
So now we know the scene. Now they can't do it again. That's done. Let's count what he's done with his Bi-generation energy. First of all, he healed a butterfly. In Space Babies, don't forget that. I mean, Dr. 15, clearly he's working on his energy. I mean, Capaldi was... I've got to say, it will never get more, frivolous there to my eyes than doing it for the sake of making Bill think that he'd gone over to the
to the monk side.
Monk side. So I think once that kind of opened, and giving his regeneration energy to Davros, that kind of opened the door to this sort of thing happening. And but there's the interplay
even earlier things with
the RTD for you, right?
Yeah, it's just the regeneration energy is this sort of magical thing that can sprout out whenever. Maybe it was inevitable that was going to happen from the first time he used it. It's funny, I had recently rewatched Rise of the Cybermen. I think might be the first time that happened. Well, I guess the parting of the ways, if you think about it, no, that was Bad Wolf energy. I don't know. This sort of magic Time Lord energy that just sort of comes out every now and then. It can be overused. It probably hasn't been too much lately, so maybe he gets a pass. Maybe this is the one and done time. It's fine. Not great, but it's fine. Let's rewind a bit. What did you think about the whole scene in the diner and just sort of it's kind of more of an exposition scene, but it actually had some real characters, I thought. And I do think they handled the segregation component quite well.
I was going to say, given what a lot of what we were talking about last time, I felt that it was interesting that, obviously we've done it. Doctor Who's done that. It's done segregation in Rose. Like, you don't really, you can't not acknowledge it. Rosa, sorry. You can't not acknowledge it, but you don't necessarily need to go into it. I thought it was very interesting. The only actual incident of racism here was cartoon racism. Seems appropriate, where it's revealed to be fake, and it's an NYPD police officer. So I like that. I think it was handled perfectly. The Doctor has that lovely little mini speech, which may be one of the best mini speeches he's ever given. In just a line or so of dialogue of so I topple worlds. Sometimes I wait for other people to topple the world, and I shine. And
I thought he said I sigh.
I live in it and I shine. Was the line?
Oh, I shine. I thought he. Oh, wow, I must have misheard. Yeah. I thought he said I sigh, and that I kind of I just kind of yeah. Okay, that kind of works. That works better. I like the actual line. I assume you heard it more correctly than I did.
And still I shine.
But yeah, to your point, I like that because it was obviously you need to acknowledge it. It gives both of those other characters a little agency and lets us like them a little more, which was nice because the guy's obviously bending the rules because he probably doesn't agree with them, etc. And the woman doesn't seem at all like she's doesn't like talking to these people because they're of color. So
and
all of
Reginald
that,
Pye doesn't care either. He's also...
and you give Belinda a moment to be aghast and be kind of a millennial, but that's okay. And like you say, the doctor has the mini speech, and essentially the episode gets to declare we've done Rosa, we're not doing that here, and that's great.
Which is more appropriate for Miami-Dade. I mean, we'll do it for the cold take. We'll do it whenever the randomizer sends us there. I will look into the history of segregation specifically in Miami-Dade County. I'll go there. But yeah, I like that the playing with expectations that scene was going to happen, and then discovering that Mrs. Lowenstein is actually just nice after all. A lot of people are nice, and most people would not care about a segregated system and allow rules bent, especially in a major city, especially, right? It was always the more rural areas where the racism is a big problem. So I like that, and it's basically saying the structure is to blame, the system is to blame. It's systemic racism, not these individual people. They're all nice people. And by the way, what did you think of the fact that just this once, Rose, everybody lives?
Oh, I didn't like that. I don't like that. You need some death in Doctor Who. It has to feel visceral. There has to be stakes. Yes, the projectionist guy died. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Just this once, Rose, one guy dies. And one guy and one god. Not a bad body count.
It also, at the end there, it seemed like there was a bit of a disconnect that the place blew up, except it didn't. The you see a sort of a wide shot from above that's oh wow, the building's really wrecked, but the people sort of walk out and it feels like it's not.
Yes.
And so that was a big disconnect for me. I'm wait a minute, because I was already thinking, kind of rolling my eyes a bit, oh yes, of course everybody lives, and it's wait a minute, didn't the whole place just blow up? Shouldn't they be dead even if they were back?
they were on the film, and the film was what was flammable. So
well, yeah, and I guess they sort of established earlier because the Doctor and Belinda burned their film, and that gets them out of the animation. So I guess you could make the case, that does it to the other folks, because they're sort of burned out, so it sort of happens right after the explosion, which maybe I'm headcanon that enough.
Yes,
I can. In other words, I can headcanon the plot part of it. I'm not gonna. That doesn't negate the thing that it's a bit of a cop out in my view. I feel like you need to show that there were real stakes here at some point.
Yes, and you need to have a sense of the space being a real space that you can rely on being the same from scene to scene. On which note, I can be an even more annoying fan and point out that it's the screen, it's the wall behind the Doctor that blows up, but it's the canisters of film over on the projectionist side that exploded.
Right.
Yeah. Game, set, and match, RTD. 7 out of 10, sir. See how you like those apples.
Yeah, and he didn't get burned from that. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
And there we go. Just doing what Whovians do.
So I kind of wish there had been a little more, a little more apparel, like, because up until that point, I think all Mr. Ring-a-Ding has done is trapped some people in some celluloid, and then done the Doctor and Belinda in their sort of fantasy.
Did you find him creepy at all? Like, obviously he's got that early Fleischer cartoon kind of design of like, it's kind of, the early days of animation characters looked a bit creepy, right? Even like the early Mickey Mouse with the weird eyes.
A little bit, but like not much. I think that he was creepiest when he was being creepy, which is to say the cold open stuff where he's deliberately being creepy and saying weird things. So when that's a good tonal shift. To your point, I think they could have gone a little more extreme with it. You almost wanted to see more Roger Rabbit-esque type stuff where it's like this cartoon violence, but because it's the real world now, it's real. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe I don't know. We've seen that before in various stories. It's not Doctor Who stories, but you can think about. Even the Tick is a little like this sometimes, but there was also like the Mask before it became the Jim Carrey thing. There was sort of elements of this cartoon violence that was sort of realized, which made it a scary thing. They don't really do much of that. I mean, there is like, I'm trapped in a cartoon and Mr. Ring-a-Ding has power over this, but they don't really spend a lot of time looking at the mechanics of that. Other than when they sort of become 3D and sort of have to just figure out how the getting out of the film strip works. Because basically Mr. Ring-a-Ding is only in it for a little bit, right? Like there's that whole interstitial stuff with the fans and stuff, which is great, but it does like he's only sort of at the beginning and at the end, and doesn't quite get enough to do in terms of action anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he turns himself flat to go under a door. There's the I did enjoy the not chase of him, going slowly up the stairs because he's which gives you the sense that he can actually, he needs power. He needs much more power to keep himself alive.
Yeah, but I mean, you think about like he could have like, I'll just get this jetpack, or I'll like threaten the Doctor with a comically large syringe, or any kind of any number of Wile E. Coyote mechanisms. All of that was on the table, and then again, you could think about even I said it already, where Roger Rabbit sort of mixes a little bit of that. Obviously, a kids movie, so you can't do too much of that, but there was like some stuff implied there.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's a nice note, really, because we're just saying we want more. Like that was
exactly. You're right.
Well realized enough that we're like, give me that, but more. Give me the feature film version of that.
And like I say, they've set it up so that you could do a sequel to this for sure. Now that he's sort of everywhere and nowhere, well, maybe we can focus that with some moonlight at some point.
Exactly. He'll just bounce off another moon into another projector. It's easily done.
Well, maybe that's where he was in the first place, if you think about it. Like, how did he just even arrive there through some random moonlight? It was like,
Exactly. It's drifted in from the end of the universe after the Wild Blue Yonder, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like in Ouroboros, right? Like, it's kind of like, he goes out in everywhere at the end, and then at some point... I mean, maybe they'll even show it at some point. There was some weird thing in space that space lens projected him there somehow.
Exactly. Or maybe he gets focused into a lighthouse on Fang Rock.
There it is.
And there it is. And then he gets to be the one to turn Leela's eyes blue. At the end, that could be the explanation. The blue in Leela's eyes is actually Mr. Ring-a-Ding. There you go. You heard it here first.
There it is.
Only the finest bespoke headcanon here at Pull to Open.
RTD call us, but it sounds like you already have.
I know. I'm going to be sending him a sternly worded letter about the infringement on copyright on my 5-year-old short story. And also, I got to I think that Oasis's lawyers may want to take a look at the Mr. Ring-a-Ding, please don't make me laugh, just take my autograph, which is so very similar to the line from Oasis's Supersonic, their very first hit, you make me laugh, give me your autograph. So I wonder what RTD was listening to when he was writing this complete mystery. But yes. Yeah, good luck with that, sir. Let's see the giggle is going to be on the other side of your face when the lawyers from Manchester come down on you.
Nice. Well,
exactly.
Just make sure Mrs. Flood is a good seat. All right. So have we exhausted this? What did you think of the preview for next week?
Let's end on Mrs. Flood as well. Because she didn't look to camera for once, but she had that ending line about Trick of the Light. You like that? I mean, I'm kind of liking her charm a little bit now. Because we know her shtick. Now it's kind of like I want to. It's almost like I want to gauge them, and this is one of her better dad jokes. Yes.
I'm into it. Yeah, that was okay.
You know what I really liked, which you have to watch it a few times to actually note that the name of the Rock Hudson film is The Harvest Bringer. Obviously not a real film name.
Right.
There was enough of a shot of that for someone, like 3 people in the audience went, Harvest Bringer, like the dots were there to connect. I like that one.
Yes. Yeah. That was really cool. I guess if you're a Rock Hudson fan, maybe that would have, you would have been, wait a minute, I don't know that film.
Is that supposed to be relevant? Harvest Bringer. I get it. Yeah. Anyway, yes, preview for next week. Looks cool. Looks like we're going into the Satan pit again, but different.
Yeah, we'll take it. It gives Shooty another costume change, but this one's like future space athleisure. So
yes,
so we'll take it.
It does look like a very cool Lululemon space outfit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, he wears the fitted clothes very well, certainly.
He does.
Cool.
He wears it well, and we've worn this well, I think.
We've done it
on us. Yes,
we're running out of light here, Chris.
We're running out of light, but I'm liking how Lux is looking on us. On the
exactly.
Yes, I want a live cam in the Moffat home for the first. I mean, he's probably already watched it, but I want to see Moffat's face where they have that whole scene about Blink, which is
yes,
simultaneously praising and kind of poking a little bit of fun. Oh, it's this episode where you can't blink.
Well, I love that the Doctor sort of starts not because he's aware or knows he's a fictional character. But he starts buying into their view of it. He's like, what was your favorite story? Like, not the one with the goblins. No, come on, I stepped on a landmine for a whole episode. That was marvelous. You didn't like that?
There's an echo there of something we've done recently, Planet of the Dead, where Dr. Malcolm Taylor Unit is a big fan of the Doctor's, and the Doctor has that moment of, oh, you've read all my files. What was your favorite one? The one with the big robot? No, wait, got to focus. Which is fantastic. They've been sort of, RTD has been hitting that note for some years, right? So it's nice to see it actually happen. But yeah, you got to wonder, how does the Doctor know that they turned the landmine thing into an episode? Is he just like, oh, come on, that must be an episode? Because there's so much stuff that happens
you would
in between.
think, right?
Yeah,
there was, but it's like, that was harrowing for him. It came pretty close to, trouble of basically the series ending that could have happened.
Right. Yes. Talk about his trauma. All right. The light is fading. You are not, beautiful fans, dear fans of Doctor Who and Pull to Open.
Well, Chris, will we exist after this podcast ends, though?
No. Sorry.
I mean, I think that's maybe why we're stalling here. And why we can't finish this off.
Well, it's been a joy going on the Pull to Open journey with you, Pete, and with all of you out there who have no surnames and are about
to finish. If indeed we are back next week, I hope we are.
Yes. it'll be time to go down the well.
We'll see you. Hopefully, you'll be able to reach us through our social networks. We're Pull to Open 63. If you're enjoying these hot takes, please leave a review on the Apple Podcasts app. That is the best place to leave a review. If you're watching us on YouTube, hey, you can become a true companion. Just go ahead, check it out. Our memberships, and you can unlock some free emojis. It's good times. And we will see you again next week for another hot take of Doctor Who Season 2 coming at you. It's going to be bright.
Hey, the future is bright. I got to wear shades.